Hello YouTube, what's going on? 99 Legend here, and welcome back to another NHL 18 custom NHL League video. So, after all the home teams have had their home openers, so without further ado, we're going to start the simulation progress. So, unfortunately, I've been obviously going through this very slow, and I don't believe I'll have time to go through the whole thing until NHL 19 comes out. So what I have planned for this video is, like usual, I'll sim the season constantly following the best team, or if there's a tight race, and I'll probably end up as well as that, I'll probably end up simming the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, and I'll just record the finals for you guys. 14, just to make sure I finish this series before NHL 19 comes out. So as you can see from the homepage, the first team we're going to follow for this is, I don't know if they're first place in the league, but I'm going to follow the Washington Capitals as first, as they, of course, they were the previous Stanley Cup winners, so let's follow them first for a month. So first game, they're going to be facing the Islanders, and they currently hold a 9-3 record. So let's head to December 1st. Okay, so yeah, that was a pretty solid month for Washington. Okay, they lost. They only didn't get a point in one single game. That's pretty freaking crazy. Okay, so let's quickly look at the standings. See if there's any surprises so far. Who's in, who's out. So let's go. Let's check the Eastern first. And Washington currently holds first place there. Kind of a pretty crazy. Second, third, fourth are kind of crazy so far with the Rangers, Wings, and Senators there. So far, Penguins, Leafs, Flyers, all teams that Devils, all teams that made the playoffs are currently out of it. So far, Florida's the worst in the East. So let's quickly check the West. The Edmonton in first is another shock, but totally different from real life so far. There's Arizona. So far, San Jose's out of it. And same as the reigning President's Trophy winners, they're also out of it so far. And with Vegas being the worst team so far, it's gotta love EA simulation. I do my typical thing, forgetting words. Okay. Washington's still first in the league, but let's go down and check out Edmonton. See if they could hold it up for this month. Okay, let's see. Edmonton's first game is going to be against Calgary, so let's head to the 1st of January. All right, so not nearly as good as the month Washington had last month, but still very solid for Edmonton. Let's check the standings again. Let's head to the West this time, where Arizona is actually first in the West right now, though Edmonton does have a couple games in hand so far, and they're only 1 point behind. So, any more shocks? Sharks are out of it still. Vegas continues to be last in the West. Nashville is now starting to climb. They're currently in a wild card spot, same as Winnipeg. Washington continues to dominate the East. Looks like they only had like a couple losses again in that month. Pittsburgh's climbing. Red Wings and Senators are both dropping. Rangers dropped a lot. So besides maybe New Jersey, Eastern Conference is starting to look a lot similar to what it looked like during the actual season last season. Let's follow Arizona because they're having a pretty good season so far. First game's against Nashville. Let's head to Dallas. See if they could keep it up. Starting with 2 losses. So they definitely had kind of like a 500-ish month. See if that really hurt them or not. Going to... Indeed, they're still in 3rd place, so they're still solidly in there right now. Anaheim now controls 1st place. And Nashville and Winnipeg are both been dropped out again. Vancouver's now in last place. Vegas is starting to heat up, I guess, a little bit. Not in the bottom anymore. Washington continues to be in 1st place with Tampa Bay just behind them. Detroit's still in it. All the other teams have dropped out of it, as in the Senators. Rangers are still really dropping. Devils look like they're starting to catch some ground in this. They're still 6 point out. Okay. I think for this month, let's follow Tampa Bay because they're really challenging Washington for 1st place there. Very dominant. Okay, let's do the usual checking of the conferences. So, Washington's still just hanging on to that lead, but so far Tampa Bay and Washington are definitely the big teams in the East. Got a pretty big gap between them and 3rd place. So then we have the Canadiens, Waynes, Leafs. Devils are actually in it now. Penguins and Bruins. Florida remains to be in last place in the East. Edmonton now leads the Western Conference. Arizona and Colorado, Anaheim and San Jose just a point behind, so that's going to be a fun race there. Then we got the Dallas Stars, St. Louis Blues, and Chicago Blackhawks. Predators still out of it, but only by a point. Vancouver remains in last place. So I think for this month, I'm going to follow Colorado because that's a pretty close race. Alright, Colorado, let's see if you can keep it up. Good start, but now they're on a very long losing streak. Getting those points right back. So very 500 right now. I think they literally finished that month at 500. Now it looks like I believe Anaheim was one of the teams that were just behind them, where they were the same amount of points. Colorado already has so many more wins, but Ducks have the overtime losses, so let's check. Chicago's actually in first now, followed by Colorado, Arizona, Dallas, St. Louis in the wildcard spot in fifth. So San Jose, Edmonton's really dropped. They were in first place before. Now they're just barely in it. Ducks are actually falling out of it now too. And looks like Vancouver got hot, passing Minnesota and Las Vegas. Typical Vancouver. We're always getting those stupid wins late in the season to ruin the lottery draft. So it looks like we actually have like our... Didn't check, do we? West, there's still lots of spots open. Eastern's pretty much decided. With Tampa Bay, Washington, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, Detroit, Montreal, Columbus, and the last spot seems to be up for grabs, but it looks like Toronto's pretty solid for there. Florida remains in last place. So let's just finish this off with... Just gonna pick a random team here and see how Toronto does. See if they could finish it off strong. That should pretty much, yeah, they're solidified in there. Okay, so it was a season. Let's check to see what we're gonna have in the playoffs here. So looks like in the West we're gonna have Colorado versus St. Louis, Chicago versus Anaheim, Calgary versus San Jose, and Arizona versus Dallas. In the Eastern Conference, we have Pittsburgh versus New Jersey, Washington versus Columbus, so that's actually a rematch of this year's actual playoffs. Montreal and Detroit, and Tampa Bay and Toronto. So I guess new teams that didn't make the playoffs in real life were St. Louis, Chicago, Calgary, I believe, Arizona, and Dallas. Then the Western's pretty like full of new teams. Eastern Conference, for the most part, all these teams made it besides the Montreal and Detroit series. So Eastern Conference pretty much almost went true to real life. So let's start these playoff simulations. So let's again follow Washington, but them being the reigning Stanley Cup champs. So let's see, let's go 4 games and see what happens there. Back to back shutouts for Washington. Let's see, do we have any sweeps? Nope, looks like one's still going on. There might be a sweep there with San Jose and Calgary. They haven't played game 4 quite yet. Lots of 3-1s though. Okay, let's continue. Alright, so 4 straight shutouts for Washington. They found that pretty easily. Let's see. What else do we got here? So we got Tampa Bay beating Toronto in 5. As well as Washington. Same with Dallas. They beat Arizona in 5. And that seems. Looks like Pittsburgh and New Jersey are pretty close, so I'll go check out their series now. Go Pitt. Okay, so Pittsburgh, New Jersey. Well, New Jersey knocked the Penguins out of the playoffs. We'll see. Nope. Pittsburgh wins it in 6. So it's Pittsburgh, Washington. That's funny. Okay. So let's check our second round. Second round, we have Chicago versus St. Louis, San Jose versus Dallas. On the eastern side, we have the Washington versus Pittsburgh series and Tampa Bay versus Montreal. Some great rivalries in this with Chicago and St. Louis and Washington versus Pittsburgh. Those are classics there. Both good rivalries, but I think I'm going to stick with Pittsburgh, Washington. That's been a good one for a long time since Ovi and Crosby. Ooh. Ooh, Pittsburgh was a shoo-in, but by the looks of it, but Washington, that's either they're forcing a game 7. And there will be a new Stanley Cup champion in this simulation. So let's quickly check to see what our conference finals will look like. So we got St. Louis actually swept Chicago, then Dallas and San Jose also won 7. So we have St. Louis versus San Jose and Pittsburgh versus Montreal. Montreal swept Tampa Bay. Wow. Okay. Let's head over to... No. Wrong button. Let's head over and watch Western since we've been watching the East. So, San Jose, St. Louis. St. Louis... Yep, they forced the game 7. And they lost it, so it'll be San Jose versus Montreal in the finals. Didn't want to go back there. You can see the playoff tree. And there it is. So, next video, I'll see you guys with San Jose facing Montreal. Okay, before we end this video, let's see. Is there... Okay, can't see awards yet, so never mind. So I'll end this video here. Hope you guys enjoyed this simulation process, and if there's any shocks, just let me know in the comments if you're shocked by anything in the simulation, and hopefully there's lots of Montreal Canadiens fans and San Jose Sharks fans on this channel. So yeah, that was the simulation for our custom NHL league, and I'll see you guys in game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals.